Don't mind them. Don't mind them. They're just afraid of you. And that's why they talk about me. So don't mind them. Together, we will work together to make sure all of us have a place in this country. Don't mind them. Let them leave you. Let them leave you so I can do my work. Don't mind them. Don't mind them. They can tell you anything. We are together. Don't mind them. Don't mind them. They were there before. They didn't do anything. Don't mind them. Don't mind them. We are here. Everything that we do, they will not talk about it. Don't mind them. Don't mind them. You get free school, they tell you say free school not good. Don't mind them. Don't mind them. Your rose, we bury your rose, they will tell you that rose will eat. Don't mind them. Don't mind them. We got more women in government, they will tell you it's not good. Don't mind them. Don't mind them. Today we pay our economy, they tell you say, what kind of economy? Don't mind them. Thank you. Thank you. I'm finished here. Our work is unprecedented. Today you can see in the 4 years, you can see that more hospitals built in the Republic of Liberia, but I will tell you, you're not doing anything about health. Don't mind them. Today, free education in our country, they will tell you, it's not free education. Don't mind them. Don't mind them. You tell them that you love your money. They tell you why you love your money. Don't mind them. They don't know you. I stood for you so many times. We were together when I was not president. We are together. They don't want to see that. Don't mind them. The society that you are in, all of your ghettos that you live, I live in that same ghetto, they never live there. Don't mind them. When I ask those that want me not to be here, I asked them how they...
Punch TV is still within the fishing settlement of Banjo. We are here. Brother, what's Banjo Beach? What's your name?
My name is Master Tupac.
Master Tupac.
Yes.
Master Tupac, tell us, what are some of the things fishermen want the government to do?
The government want to for the help about election business.
Okay.
Yeah, because they choose, not all get the same hand.
Okay.
Because some people get a hand, some other people not get a hand. So the government got to help on
To license your canoe?
Yeah.
Okay.
Election. But now we large about a life jacket. People will get a life jacket. We now get it.
Up to now?
Up to now.
Okay.
But now the fishing too is not looking good for us.
Okay.
But the year, last year we get good. I think we pay. But this year, is not good.
Okay, so the license is how much? How much to get a license for machine kino?
The machine you get 3 tap for the machine. You get 475 and get 250 and get one. I think about $50 for the paying kino.
For license?
Yeah, license.
To get your license for machine kino is how much?
475.
475.
Yeah, US dollar.
Okay, and how long it goes for before it expires?
Yeah, about by year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
475 for machine kino.
Yeah.
Then another kind of machine kino is how much?
250.
250. Then the peddling kino
is $150.
150.
$50.
Oh, $50.
Yes.
Okay, so many you're finding it what difficult to.
Yeah. we find it difficult about every time that the fishing can be too. Like some people can lag about fishing about over month or 3 months, we can't get about nothing. It's just because they will not be offend the government, so got to rush and look for money and pay. And the reason why that because some people now facing a depot, you know many things that people now facing. And the reason why we can force ourselves to pay that money.
Okay. So what are other things in the community that that are not available that you want government to do?
Yeah, the government we need pump here, we need hospital here, we need school. Yeah, we need all road cutting. Okay. Yeah, the road to the 6 hours, so they see climb the road come in the town. Okay. So that thing that was water and hospital, school. Okay. I want we need in the community. Okay. So finally, from my end, people say that the government is really doing well for fishermen. Do you agree? To real fisher people, it's not doing good for because that money is too much. It's money we pay for the tax is too much that we pay about 475 for tax. Or sometimes the whole year, so maybe by the grace of God we can get it. By the whole year we can get it. But we can take.
What are the challenges people are faced with in this end?
Yes, concerning the fee, we are in consultation with the government concerning the fee. Okay. And pretty soon, we believe that government will listen to us. Okay. We are engaging the government. We're also engaging the boss, NAFA boss.
Yeah, Madam Glasgow.
Madam Glasgow. The last time we spoke with the president, he said, you will see reason to call both the fishermen and the government entity that are responsible for dialogue.
Has that happened?
No, we still hoping.
When was it?
That was the launching of the life jacket.
Don't mind them. Don't mind them. They're just afraid of you. And that's why they talk about me. They don't mind them. Together, we will work together to make sure all of us have a place in this country. Don't mind them. Let them leave you. Let them leave you so I can do my work. Don't mind them. Don't mind them. They can tell you anything. We are together. Don't mind them. Don't mind them. They were there before. They didn't do anything. Don't mind them. Don't mind them. We are here. Everything that we do, they will not talk about it. Don't mind them. Don't mind them. You get free school, they tell you say free school not good. Don't mind them. Don't mind them. Your rose, we build your rose, they will tell you that road will eat. Don't mind them. Don't mind them. We got more women in government, they will tell you it's not good. Don't mind them. Don't mind them. Today we pay our economy, they tell you say, what kind of economy? Don't mind them. Thank you. Thank you. I'm finished here.
It's the government of Europe that has no interest in the future of this country. This is the microcosm of the larger society. This is where young men have the responsibility to provide the next best alternative of this country. And you are subjecting us to an environment where we struggle every day to acquire tertiary education. You are subjecting us to an environment where young people have to pay $50 a work to go to school, where if you're in laboratories, there is no access to quality facility. It is the government we elected. The government and the administration of the University of Liberia conspire against the students. And today we'll say, yeah, Mr. Weah is a failure, Mr. Weah has failed the student. We will rally concerted effort to make Weah one-term president. He is a complete contradiction. All along he has promoted audacity, deception to the students.
Just the other day, I was here and I danced the Buga dance, right? But everybody said, look at the belly, but I see you, but the mango dance Buga dance. But guess what? On the internet, all of them are saying the men fully them with the destiny there. But don't know the destiny. They say Bukale. So you can see that everything that you do, they will copy it.
There before they country we need change. First, during early administration, they were 100% better. We were not playing on the street that day. Maybe when you see going on before that, only intern, which was Don Bosco boys and this administration, majority of the youth, they are poor, so too plenty on the street. So they say when somebody get up and wait, even where you go to see another group coming, where you go to see another group coming,
so what caused the people?
Thank you. Because administration, what they told us that they were going to do for us, the first thing they told us they were going to be a rehabilitation center. They told us they were going to bring change to our life. And they went up there, they advocated for almost $10 million to come and settle us with the disadvantaged youth. They're getting the money,
so when they share money, where you say you can help you?
No, that's what we need. We don't want money. We don't need money.
Money can help us. Money can help us. Money can help us. People want to send people to vocational school, they will bring you back and get your job.
Yeah.
Because if you can take care of yourself, then you can have family, you take care of your family. Then you can
Yes. As for me now, President, as I told you, I'm a high school graduate. But I need to learn trade. I need to learn trade where.
Punch TV is still within the fishing settlement of Banjo. We are here. Brother, what's Banjo Beach? What's your name?
My name is Master Tupac.
Master Tupac.
Yes.
Master Tupac, tell us what are some of the things fishermen want the government to do?
The government want to for the help about election business.
Okay.
Yeah, because they choose not all get the same hand.
Okay.
Because some people get a hand, some other people not get a hand. So the government got to help on
To license your canoe?
Yeah.
Okay.
Election. But now we large about a life jacket. People will get a life jacket. We now get it.
Up to now.
Up to now.
Okay.
But now the fishing too is not looking good for us.
Okay.
But the year last year we get good. I think we pay. But this year is not good.
Okay, so the license is how much? How much to get a license for machine canoe?
The machine can get 3 tap for the machine get 475 and get 250 and get one. I think about $50 but the paying canoe.
For
Find a friend like me. Find a friend like me. If you now want to betray, find a friend like me.
Bombe oh, find a friend like me. Bombe jene oh, find a friend like me. Find a friend.
It's Wednesday, 15 February 2023. This is Punch TV. The program is Trending Issues. Welcome to it. Across Liberia, welcome. Outside of this country, I'd like to say welcome. With no time to waste, just to tell you what is lined up this afternoon for you. Coming up shortly, we are hoping to speak with our Margibi County correspondent, Emmanuel Digler, to fill us in with what is unfolding in Margibi County. There are reports in the public space that there is a kind of leak audio report, audio recording, I should say, regarding issues of corruption in the health sector in Margibi County. Emmanuel will talk about that. Following that, also, Assistant Youth and Sports Minister Milaya Sherif will join us on the program, along with our Assistant Minister Mamesi Kabal from Gender Ministry. They're going to put up some defense. Why should we be re-elected? Has we have performed? Does he deserve to be re-elected? That's the topic. They're going to be with us shortly. And so stay with us now as we link up with Emmanuel Digler there in Margibi County. Like I indicated, we have other issues to talk about, but due to the time factor, we're going to move into the discussion very quickly. Emmanuel, good afternoon. Welcome to the show. Emmanuel?
Yeah, Vani, how you doing?
I'm good.
Yeah.
Quickly, this audio that is being reported in the public space. Firstly, when did that come up?
That audio came off 2 weeks ago when Front-Page Africa did a publication in relation to a leaked audio that involved officials of the McGill County Health Team involvement into dubious procurement deal.
Okay.
The leaked audio has it has it that members of the health team are involved into what they call a procurement deal that is fake in the sense that they were procuring materials for health services and other things for the county, and they will get do the deal like this. They give you, for example, they issue a $21,000 check to a vendor to supply stationery. But instead, they said 8,000 stationery was supplied, but the 8,000 stationery cannot be authenticated or verified. Then instead, they went back to get 13,000 cash from the vendor. So it has this, they do this similarly with other deals. Take for example, if they were asking you to supply materials, building materials, and they gave you 50,000 check, they will issue the check certifying all the processes in the procurement and in all the procurement processes. They will give you the check. You take the check, you put it in your account as a vendor that you have been paid. But instead, they will ask you, "Oh, don't supply us the material anymore. Say it's 50,000. Give us 45,000 back. Then you can take your 5,000 as your own co-water."
Okay.
So
Once they have the receipt in their hand, the document in their
when
hand.
they have the receipt in their hand, all the documents that certifies the
Procurement.
the procurement process. So this is how it's been going on until in one of the meetings went for 2 hours, 50 minutes, 46 seconds.
Who are those? Who are those hurt in that audio recording? Allegedly.
Audio recording involved the county health officer, Augustine Fournier,
who
was recently a year or two ago transferred from Grand Junior County to McGill. It also involved the County Health Services Administrator, one Leroy Doazia. It also involved the Community Health Director, one James Tamavani. Then they have one Horace, who is a procurement officer. They had the junior accountant, who is not in country now, she's travel, Kusi Gebe, and Reese, the senior accountant. And there were a total of 6 persons in that strategic meeting where they were planning that they should just issue all the process that have to do with procurement. The procurement officer to just certify his side. Then the general accountant will follow the vendors to collect the money and bring the money to the senior accountant, and the senior accountant will on wall do the disbursement of people who should get their kickback in terms of the process. And this is a user funded process project. This user funded for our project have been able to empower local health systems to strengthen their response to issues instead of waiting for central government. And so this project have been in McGill for the first time. And so the project was valued about 801,000 United States dollars. And so with this that have come over the county health team with their involvement into this thing, it has raised a lot of outcry because public health services is at a struggling position in most part of Liberia, even including McGill, that every material at the health center is being bought. the gloves that are used to even touch the patient when the patient is being taken to the health facility. Even if they want to do drips, everything that has to do with the treatment of someone sick at the facility is being bought. So this has raised a lot of public sentiments that why would we have a health system in the country that are totally broken down? Then officials of the county health team are involved into these alleged criminal deal that has to do with money intended to help boost the county health system. So this has caused a lot of stirring in the county, and since then we year to year a lot of position for civil society, even the county caucus. So we are that all their own share, but we've been told that the Minister of Health issued a statement that the guys were to be investigated by the Liberia Anti-Corruption Commission in relation to this crime. Up to date, according to some of them who spoke to journalists, say they have not been called, so they don't know the status of the investigation. I'm sure not just them calling for speedy trial of the issue, a lot of other married Liberians in Margibi County are calling for a speedy investigation of this matter. Because a year ago, the county only referral hospital was gutted by fire. There were some scanty issues surrounding how the hospital was gutted by fire, but up to date, the government did not do any investigation to show as to how the fire gutted the hospital, and up to date, we yet to know the processes leading to the reconstruction of the hospital. Although there have been many times, many public statements coming from officials of government, even the president, that the hospital will be rebuilt, but the sound of the hospital being rebuilt is still far from being realized. And with this issue that has to do with the usage of FRA money in the country, this actually breach public confidence. The public lack confidence in the current health system of the country because they think that the country cannot be struggling at every health facility where people are asked to go about prescription drugs to be treated. Then, on the other hand, the hearing that money came to the county and the local officials in the county were involved into dubious deal to divide the money. This is actually worrisome as we speak, Vanny. Yeah, so that's it. And all I can say is Margibi officials needed the county legislative caucus will be able to step in to ensure that whatever went wrong, they brought to light so that people know how the money brought to the county by UC have been spent, because in the audio recording is about 2 hours 15 minutes 46 seconds. And there's a facility accordingly in Marshall that you have received solar light, because meanwhile those facilities were delivering women in the dark, pregnant women. But at the end of the day, this solar light did not go to the particular facility. And the solar light was at a cost of $450 United States dollars. All part of these dubious procurement deal that the recording exposed. But most of them have come in defense to say they did not do anything wrong. Then one of them, James Tamafani, who the community health director, come out over here to say they did not do anything wrong. He was not involved with any money issue. He accused the Ministry of Health that in the same money that is being alleged of being dubiously used by the procurement process, they were to purchase 15 motorcycles. But at the end of the day, the Ministry of Health were accordingly that were responsible to purchase the 15 motorcycles, did not purchase them. So with the issue, we try to hold and pull. They are clean and conduct clean that the ministry play significant role in this process that had to do with procurement. Accordingly, there's been a policy that states that above 10,000 United States dollars, the county health team could not have initiated a procurement for any amount above 10,000 United States dollars. So they were initiating amount below $10,000. So there were accordingly, there were two different groups initiating the procurement process. One controlled by the Ministry of Health that states that amount above $10,000, and another one being controlled by the county that states that amount below 10,000. So accordingly, they are calling on the fact that every group that is involved with this money issue, there should be a comprehensive audit. But I don't know as to whether the criminal and the accusation of mismanaging the money through the dubious procurement process, or whether that will be concluded first or before they can do a comprehensive audit of the project that was implemented in the county. And the county is also worried, and a lot of other people are also worried that this issue will have a very big effect on the progress of the county, because Margibi was about to enter its second phase of this procurement, this FARA project that has to do with this fixed amount reimbursement program that comes to the county's health teams. So if Margibi failed to benefit from the second project, it means it's going to have a lot of effect on the operation of the county health team, because Margibi is rated the second county with high maternal mortality rate. In the case of women dying in childbirth, Margibi is next to Monserrado. And these are happening for some number of years now. So in this age and time, women die in childbirth is very pathetic, because a lot of people think that even the president, former President Salih, issued a statement, a policy statement saying that there should be no woman dying while trying to give another person life in terms of giving birth. And since it was issued as a national emergency, it's still not something that Margibi have been able to battle, because Margibi has very high number of people who will be dying in childbirth, even within the city of Kakata, which is most scary. Which is most scary for women to be dying in childbirth in the city of Kakata, where I think is something everyone would like to say the government needs to do more. Because in terms of referral, ambulance referral service, there will be a challenge if there is not money and to get fuel in the ambulance. There will be a challenge if legs are not on at the hospital, although we have LEC in Kakata, but most of the other clinics, either they use solar panel or generator. And if nothing is done about that, the health services in Margibi County will be more and more challenging. Yeah, so as it relates to all of these issues, the healthcare system will need to be given serious attention. We will look forward to the Margibi County Legislative Caucus intervention. We will look forward to the government, through the Ministry of Health, through the office of the president, because if you say withdraws their support through the FAWA project in the county, there could be a lot more of constraints faced when it comes to healthcare delivery. And I can say for free that Margibi is a bit better in terms of healthcare because they are probably more than 50%, or probably more, about 50% or more Margibians are seek healthcare from private facilities than the government facilities. Like in the case of Firestone, provide healthcare for their workers. Firestone provide healthcare for their workers. SRC provide healthcare for their workers. In the case of Kakata, there are currently more private health facilities here. In the lower end of the county, there are private health facilities. So often people don't depend on public facilities for treatment, unless in other counties that you don't have private facilities, and people obviously have to only seek healthcare through the public health facilities. So in the midst of in these situations, the only worrisome thing is there is no public referral hospital, because people might want to seek healthcare at their own levels in the local clinics, but in terms of severe cases that would need referral, where do they refer? Either you're going to refer to DUSA, and DUSA does not in any way just take in patients from outside. And even if taking patients from outside is at a greater cost. At a greater cost. The Mediterranean Hospital is on the far end of the country. Most people who will probably easily access the Mediterranean hospitals are those in Abel, in Doison, in Chauffeur, and other parts, in Marshall, and other part of the country. But for the majority of these people from here, they either go to Beaumont, now since Rennie Hospital is no more, they either go to Beaumont or go to Phoebe. So it becomes very serious constraint for healthcare service delivery in this part of the country amidst these troubling situations. So one thing everyone calling on now is calling on the government to make sure that the hospital is rebuilt, because C.F. Rennie Hospital got burned a year ago. The government immediately promised that they will start the process of rebuilding the hospital, but up to date, the hospital has not been rebuilt. So we still look forward. We still look forward to see when the hospital going to be rebuilt. Because
Emmanuel, thank you. Yeah, thank you so much. We were experiencing some technical constraints, but thank you that you had to keep the viewers on. We're going to stop you at that and then bring in the guests. But I'm hopeful that subsequently we can expand more on that.
All right, certainly. Thank you. That was so much.
Okay, thank you, Emmanuel. So that's it. We're going to usher in the assistant Youth and Sports Minister, and also have Mamesi as well to join us on the platform. Okay, I'm seeing it. Okay. So basically, the Assistant Youth and Sports Minister, Honorable Milaya Zeh Sharif, has come this afternoon to put up defense for the Liberian government. Why does he believe that we deserves re-election? Mamesi Kaba on the other end will be doing same. Due to the time situation, we will talk about the TVET issue at the latter end of the discussion that is coming up very shortly. So if you are there, please keep following us. We're going to usher in the minister, and also our own talking point will be coming up later on the program this afternoon. We've got some issues to talk about as well. If you started following the show from the beginning, you may have seen the video that was played where we talked to folks at the Popo Beach and also the Banja Beach area, where folks are engaged into fishing activities for survival. There are some constraints they are confronted with at the moment, and they would like to see interventions from the Liberian government. So on today, Punch TV was in the field to have spoken with people, and there were issues that they flagged. So very shortly, we'll have the minister joining us in studio. Mamesi Kaba as well will be joining us. I'm told. Okay, let me get this one. Okay, so basically that's it. Sorry, we have been experiencing some constraints, but from my own and while the minister is coming, we're concerned about the lack of transparency in the government. The Liberian government seems to be lacking some tenets of democracy, and one of those tenets of democracy have got to do with transparency in the way in which people run government. The government will tell the people, most time through the office of the president, that investigations are launched into issues that come up that people have got interest in. And then for several weeks and months that will run, the government wouldn't come up. The government wouldn't come up to give people update on where it is regarding those investigations. And some of the key investigations have got to do with the situation at the free port of Monrovia, where guns were found at the free port. Also, the situation with government ministers under President Weah that were sanctioned by the US government. President Weah did inform the public that investigation would have been launched into that situation. The public has been concerned on when the government is going to release reports surrounding that. If you have key officials that are within the cycle of the president being implicated in corruption scheme by the US government, it tells you that it is troubling, especially something bordering around the while we are trying to get the minister to join us in studio, we will take now Mamesi Kaba and then hopefully continue with the discussion later on our own talking point. Let me see if I can get Mamesi on the platform. Mamesi, Honorable Minister, I'd like to say welcome. Thank you for joining us on Punch TV.
Thank you so very kindly. Please consider the poor quality in my voice.
The same with me. I'm also under the weather. You can sense that from my tone as well.
Never mind.
Right now, right now I can't even shout. I will experience some level of strains at the neck end. So, Minister Sharif is already in the building. We are trying to set up. Set up his own part of the studio this afternoon. But we want to get you started because you have already informed me that very shortly you have got some other engagement to return to at 5 o'clock. Okay, so let us start off with first, and then I'll come in with the questions. Why? This is an open question. Why do you think George Weah, His Excellency, deserves to be re-elected?
Well, let me premise my conversation on my excitement to be on your station. And I would like to give your viewers, I don't know whether it's on radio as well. If it's on radio,
it's only on television right now. Radio is coming up soon.
Okay, so I would like to greet your viewers and excited to be on with you. And this reminds me of my days in opposition when you were at FM. Many times interviewed by you. And as a young person, I would like to say again that I'm proud of you. Your work is unique, and regarding different roles that we play in society. But these are things that we can use as justification for the readiness of young people once the opportunity is given them to contribute to their society in different ways. Having said that, let me respond to your question. You asking me why President Weah, why should he be
re-elected?
For so many reasons. And some of the reasons are, firstly, for being a democratic president. Because without being a democratic president, Vani, as a journalist, will not have the time, the opportunity to sit on the radio and critique the government when there's a need. And he could be incarcerated or his station could be closed down. We saw these things happening in the past. And besides that, for giving the platform, the opportunity and protection to opposition political parties and leaders to carry on their different political activities, even though some of the times when they are carrying on those activities, they sometimes say things about the government. They levy allegations that cannot be substantiated against the government. Yet we still create the enabling environment because we have created this democratic space for people to exercise the different democratic practices like civil liberty, political liberties. You can recall recently the MCC scorecard we passed in that area, and that tells you that even the international community is aware of our democratic nature, in providing that able environment for the citizens of Liberia to practice their belief, political belief. So I know there are many reasons as it relates to being a democratic president that I can give you. But let me now go to also being a president that is sensitive to the plight of the people. And this can be traced from his days in football. When he was playing football, there are a lot of testimonies of people that he helped while he was playing football. And Liberia had its dark days at that time. And he was there. He visited the camps where Liberians were seeking refuge. The people he saw in Europe and other parts of the world, he was there for them. And even when he came to Liberia, when he got involved with politics, he helped a lot of people, including my very self. I remember when I was in school, it was so difficult, especially at the university. At a point in time, had it not been for his intervention, maybe I would not have graduated the time I graduated. And a lot of young people are in my shoes in such a situation. So another thing is good governance. The president has done extremely well, especially looking at infrastructural development. I live in a slum community. I used to live in the community even when I was not an assistant minister, and I still live there. I fell from motorbike on so many occasions simply because of deplorable condition of the road that we had at the time. And the past government promised on so many occasions that they were going to build our road, but to no avail. Students will be going to take tests. At some point in time, they will fall from the back. They will have to go back home to change their uniform. When women were pregnant at that time, to even get access to clinic or hospital to give birth, it was very difficult because vehicles were not able to enter our community, and people will have to deliver disgracefully, which was bad. Today, we have a smooth road. And when this government came into being, it took less than a year for us to have a road, smooth road. And a child who grew up in that community that didn't know that this community could have a road has been inspired, saying that I want to be president so that I can transform a community like the president is doing. Also, as it relates to youth empowerment, the president, I know Minister Sherry is going to touch on the policy areas of young youth empowerment, but I'm just looking at the practical aspect of youth empowerment. Look at the government. The president has been able to empower a lot of young people. I can recall in the past, young people that were given the opportunity were young people that had close link to royalty family or royalty families, were young people that went to school outside of Liberia. And the president has changed the dynamics. The president is saying young people can go to school in this Liberia, they can be competent and qualified, and they should be given the opportunity to make their contribution. Based on that, he has been able to have a lot of young people. He has been able to give them opportunity, including my very self. As I have served as an orator. Look at the history of Liberia. At my age and this time, tell me which of the young person in the past trace the record from 1847 or 1822. Are you talking to me? I'm not hearing you.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Trace the record from the foundation of this nation. When has a young person of my age been given the opportunity to serve as a flag day orator? In this government, I've been given that opportunity as a young woman. And you can check around. Also, gender equality. The president has been able to stratify a lot of women in different strategic positions. He has been able to give women the opportunity to serve, not just as as an assistant and deputy ministers, but even as heads of entities, of different entities. That tells you the president's ability to be the feminist in chief that he is. And you also look at market buildings that have been built for our mothers. I come from a humble beginning, and my mother was a petty trader. My mother used to sell chikisu, tomato, and pepper and other things. I used to take some of those things, put it in the water, and go to sell them. Sometimes everybody would chase us because we didn't have a better market to sell in or under. But today, rain does not have to beat a market woman. Today, the sun does not have to shine on her marketed, and I don't know the other name for it, but I know that's the popular name for the marketed is a Maggi, but it looks different. It's sweeter than most of the Maggis. Today, the sun does not have to melt anybody's rare earth in the sun. Today, nobody needs to get sick from being flooded or being soaked by the rain because the president is building marketplaces, market buildings, state-of-the-art market buildings around Liberia. And also, the president has been able to have a government of inclusion. People from different political institutions work in this government without being intimidated or tortured. The president has also been able to work along with a team to address issues concerning the Liberian people. And what are some of these issues? I'm not an expert in economics, but you listen to the president's State of the Nation address. Inflation from 2 digit to a single digit, from 30% to 7%. Apart from that, look at the rate. When we came into power, we had a lot of constraints, especially as it relates to the economy. We had a lot of constraints, but we were able to do better. Today, according to international reports, Liberia is one of the countries that is doing well in its economy. Our neighboring country, Ghana, has been facing serious challenge, especially holding to the different crises, the different unpredictable crises that we've been going through. When we came to power, it was never predicted that we would have experienced something called coronavirus, and that became a threat to the economy globally. And inarguably, Liberia being a country that relies on support from different countries, on donor support. If you have such a global crisis, obviously it will and it did affect Liberia. However, in spite of all of those challenges, we were able to fight Corona with concerted efforts from the government and every Liberian. We were able to fight Corona. Today, I'm not sure we even have up to 10 cases. And Liberia was one of the countries that quickly handled this virus expeditiously than most of the other countries. And we did that with the little resources in the health sector that we had. When this government came, we were able to build a very decent hospital that helped in fighting the coronavirus, the 14 military hospital. Today, you check in Bapolu, we have the Emory Hospital. And somebody will say, it's just a building. But no, don't just say it's just a building. When President Weah Shah left the power in 2029, after he shall have served his second term, whoever comes does not have to build a hospital in Bapolu. They will just rely on that hospital.
Okay. So
Also,
quickly now, so I can start coming into at least give you a few punches, but I'm just waiting for you to wrap up.
you can give me a few punches and I will be able to dodge all of your punches because I come with fact and nothing less. So I will just conclude on this note. We were able to, health workers were being removed from the payroll and we were able to put them back on the payroll so that we all can work together and we can benefit from that expertise as technicians and people who can be able to save lives. So I would like to stop there for now until I can see how strong your punches can be so that
from my end, basically you start off first with the issue of democracy. And then you move on to talk about issue of freedom of the press, and then you talk about the role within your own area where you live, and then talk about one or two interventions within the health sector. But basically, I have not identified in all of what you say, I have not identified anything so different and unique that one can say, this is what Mr. Weah, from your explanation, has done. That you can't compare to Unity Party to say Unity Party did this. So first, to start up with, when you talk about under this government, people expressing their views and not being held in contempt, and so we saw the case also with Henry Costa that had to leave this place. I don't want to sound personal, but we saw how long it took for Punch FM to be open in the public space. And then moving forward, when you talk about the role within your belt and you talk about the market, President Sirleaf, while she served in government, undertook a number of market projects. President Sirleaf, while she served in government, undertook a number of roads projects as well. And on this issue with the figure that most time government officials throw out on 30% most time when you're doing your own research, they tell you around 2017, Liberia's inflation rate was around 12%. Other information will tell you around 23%, which most time you still don't seem to have a fixed one. But what is so unique about this Weah-led government that one can say Unity Party-led government, you can't compare these two regimes? The minister has also, Minister Milaya Zesheri has also joined us on the platform. We're going to be taking him in as well at this point in time. Honorable, welcome.
Good afternoon to you, the family of Punch FM. Good afternoon to Comrade Mamesi Kaba.
Good afternoon.
And good afternoon to the peace-loving people of Liberia. It is indeed a pleasure to have us on this platform to see how best we can articulate government's gains, government's policies, and those things that are in the right direction, that have made impact, that are making impact, and that are poised to continuously make impact in the lives of Liberians. So it's an honor to be on this particular platform.
Okay. So I'll throw the same question that was thrown to Madam Kaba. We really should have started this discussion with
Sorry,
your
Bonnie.
own era in terms
Bonnie?
of the TVET. Yeah.
Sorry. Can I come in?
Yeah, you can
So-
come in.
Yeah, so I think I will appeal that you don't do me this service. I know you're going to that to my colleagues, but my colleague. I remember you asking and making a lot of statements. I think it would be fair enough for me to respond to some of the questions and the statements made by you, if you don't mind.
Go ahead, even though I have not really entered into some of the key issues I have, but you can go ahead.
So you laid a premise, you said you don't see any reason based on what I just said for which person that should be re-elected. Talking about
I said you have not given anything that looks so unique as compared to
position. You didn't see anything in it. But I think I respect your opinion. But as a journalist, you should be able to say you should be able to acknowledge the enabling environment we have created. Our respect for freedom of press. The Kamara Act. For so many years, people were here, they didn't pass that law. It should have been passed. When we came to power less than 2 years, we passed that protects you as a journalist. So even if you didn't see anything in what I said, you should acknowledge that as a journalist. So you were here.
What is the essence?
You talk about Henry Costa and Punch FM. Well, the Henry Costa situation, was it the government that has prevented him from being in the country? To my knowledge, I know that the immigration had a problem with him. And as a good citizen, it was just advisable to have appeared and answer questions. No one should be afraid to face the law. Everywhere around the world, being invited does not mean you are guilty. So as a good citizen, like I am, if I'm invited by the police today, I don't have to escape. But if I escape, the government cannot be blamed because nobody chased me. I was only invited. The issue of Punch FM, I'm told it was a legal issue. And I am so glad you brought the Punch FM situation up because it shows how democratic this government is for a radio owner to win a case against a sitting government. That is a plus, and it is a justification that we are more democratic than the past government and governments that were here before.
Despite taking ons of years.
It really doesn't matter. The law is the law. They were going through legal proceeding. You cannot bypass the law because you are a journalist or because you are a government official. What matters is the outcome of the law. The fact that the law was able to prevail and a journalist could defeat a government in a court of competent jurisdiction. It speaks volume to how democratic the government is. I'm coming. You were in this country when Rodney Sear was incarcerated. Rodney Sear, as a journalist, was incarcerated for reporting a story on a government official. You were here, and the story, the record is there. You were in this country, and you cannot deny. Vandana Patrick was incarcerated in this country for speaking against the government. You are also in this country when a political leader was chased out of this country because he made a statement. You were here. You were here when the defense minister at the time told protesters like some of us that they will use lethal and non-lethal force against us. You were here. If somebody wants to compare such a regime
let me come now. Let me
provide cold water for protesters with a regime that can food for protesters.
Minister, let me come in. I think the best way I've identified to go on. Let me provide the questions. Let me ask the questions to the both of you.
Those things, and I will come to the issue of market building. You talk about Madam Seri build. If you give me the check, my punch is done. I guess punch is not only about the journalist punching. I think the host, the guest can punch as well. Can punch back.
That is if I say something that you don't that can't be substantiated. Sure. Minister, So I want to hold the both of you to some of the issues that were said while you were in opposition.
I read getting politically charged, because like these are things that get me charged because when the record can be seen and somebody wants to compare such a democratic
great
to a government that violated rights of citizens, then we get politically charged. And then we come records.
So let's move on, Minister.
We can move
while you were in opposition, and this is going to be coming to the both of you.
Okay.
There were key things that the CDC advocated for. There were key things that the CDC told the Liberian people while you were in opposition. Some of those things have got to do with one, diversifying the Liberian economy from heavily reliant upon rubber and iron ore. The CDC also emphasized the need to have a war crimes code established. The CDC also frowned on the fact that there were too many mentally deranged people in the streets. We say crazy people in simple terms. These things are still in our society today. We still see these things with us. Either of you can take it. How do you respond to some of these concerns?
Firstly, let me say that I think you have done me disservice on this platform. I was there in time. You told me 4 p.m. I was there in time. And unfortunately, you are just bringing me in and directly start posing questions instead of me laying premises that will somehow support my thought process as to how and why this government has done well and need to continuously serve the Liberian people. And I think to just jump into the discussion, especially as an intellectual, then you put me on what I refer to as a backsliding mood.
Okay.
Because the essence of me being on this platform today was from two folds.
Certainly.
Firstly, to provide information concerning my work or my office. And secondly, to give reasons, specifically as chairperson of the Coalition for Democratic Change, Grand Cape County chapter, and the recently held nomination process, where I serve as chairperson for the Western region for the nomination and subsequent election or re-election of President Weah. So for me to sit on this platform when I have not provided any information or substantiation as to why we think our government needs to be re-elected, and you just start punching questions because it's Punch FM, then you put me in a very... So I think...
So, Minister, let us
to give you some reasons that I tangibly believe that people can come on and realistically see reasons
to
re-elect
let me go
Weah.
back to what you said from the inception. When you entered the studio, the first thing I did do was to apologize to you. That was behind the camera to tell you that we're supposed to have brought
so
you
said
on
you
by
did
5.
that behind the camera, but the Liberian people who are following might think that Minister Sharif cannot observe time because what you sell out to the public that I needed to be at 4 o'clock. And I was there TD 47. So meaning I was in time to even allow the show to start where my good sister and myself will have provided you sufficient information.
So
why President Weah has to be re-elected. So my point here,
we still have the time. We can start up from there now.
Exactly.
So let's start up from there with you.
You can just start asking questions. And that's why I like the way Mama Mercy put it. She had to learn on what you asked her concerning Punch FM and other radio stations and the democratization process.
So let's start up with you.
So you need to hear from Elias Sharif now why he thinks that the president has to be re-elected.
Go ahead, Chief. So let's allow your colleague to speak, Mama Mercy.
I wanted to talk to the minister. Minister?
Yeah, Mama Mercy.
So the same thing with me. He said, because I have somewhere to go at 5, so we agreed that I should be on at 4. I came on before 4, and I know he had to talk to some other people.
But I just
wanted to respond to his question and just leave because it's already time. I don't know if you will allow me, Minister Sharif.
To do what specifically?
The question he posed to the two of us just now, the question he asked.
Okay, yeah, so you can take the lead on it because for me, I
believe he wants to start.
You can take the lead on answering the question, saying you get somewhere to go by 5 o'clock. Then I will give reasons why I think President Weah has to be re-elected after you should have left the state.
The office as well.
Exactly.
Even to-
Yeah.
So you can proceed to answer that question. I will come in later.
You remind me, but one thing I captured that has to do with the War and Economic Crimes Code. Do you have evidence where the CDC said that they wanted a War and Economic Crimes Code? So I'm going to respond to the question, but I just want an evidence, because at no point in time I remember if Vanny this comes up and says something in his name, it doesn't change the fact that he's a journalist at Punch. However, it's a statement that represents Punch. So I would like for you to prove to me where.
Mamesi, are you saying to the Liberian people on this platform that while you were in opposition, at no point in time did your party star Molba Molu, at no point in time?
Okay. So what I'm
is that what you? I'm coming. Are you saying that at no point in time Molu called for the establishment of a war crimes court in Liberia?
Are you saying that you asked about Molu here?
You asked me to give you evidence, so I'm asking so we can move ahead. Was there no point in time when Molu or Kochi called for establishment?
Vanny, you're an intellectual like my very self with no arrogance, but we respond to questions based on the way it is being asked. You entangle the political party, and now you come into the chairman. So you want to re-ask your question?
Mamesi, if the party, a key star in the party makes a statement, obviously it is a policy statement reflecting the aspirations of the party. At a press conference, convened by the party.
I disagree with you. At the time, Chairman Molu was not even a chairman for the party at that time. You need to be reminded. So
what was his position?
So what I'm saying to you,
Molu was operational president at the time for the party, if I'm not making a mistake with his position.
Do you want to rephrase your question? Because I was asking you, I always hear people say the CDC made a position. So I cannot tell you the CDC did, but to my knowledge, there was no the CDC as a political party make a position. On
1 minute. Minister Sheriff, do you agree with that? Did the CDC not call for the establishment of a war crimes court?
Not as a political institution, but individuals did. So I think my message point is very clear here. She's making you to understand, as a political party, there was not a call for war crime court.
Even President Weah did that.
Did individual make such statements? Yes, indeed. That is something undeniable.
So
I'm coming. So Chairman Molu back then
and the state of Beryl
operation person made a statement. Chairman Koji back then made that statement.
Youth chairperson.
Yeah. So
President Weah also made that statement.
No. Listen. Here is the argument. That's why my message told you to be very unequivocal in your question. Individuals speaking and calling for war crime court is one thing, and the party's position is another thing, because the question asked was, didn't the party call for war crime court? The CDC is one political institution. Whenever she convinces herself to take decision, it is in the media. So it is done publicly. So let me say this, because I don't want you to make it look like
I don't want this for us to drag on.
The first thing we have to
the viewers are coming. Let me give this question back.
Okay, it'll be
did
better.
The CDC not call for establishment of a war crimes court in opposition while serving in opposition? Then we move on.
So let me respond. To my knowledge, the CDC as a political party did not make a position as it relates to the economic crimes court in Liberia.
But individuals within the party spoke on it. And I was saying something before my message came in. We got to be careful here. We don't want to present the position that citizens or the present government support war criminals. So that has to be made very clear. And this is why, if you follow the precedent, when that move was made, the president intelligently turned over that particular suggestion to the national legislature. And he told them, this is the cry of the Liberian people, and we are awaiting your response so we can act upon it.
And they have responded, I'm told, by Rooster Swakoko Dennis.
So how did they respond? Did they respond in silence? Did they respond in silence?
Fanny,
Did they
please share
respond
the
in silence?
response. We are interested. Please share the
Yeah,
response.
did they respond in silence? So you see, when you're doing these things, you got to put it in perspective.
Mm-hmm.
So when this call was made on this regime,
Okay.
the president responsibly reverted to the national legislature. That is to enforce democracy.
Okay, so
Not a one-man decision.
Minister, let us
So
let
the
us start
national
with you now.
legislature has to come back and tell you, Mr. President, this is why we have agreed on, because this is what the Liberian people proposed. And then you will see the president taking action or not.
Okay.
Then you can be holding CDC
So
or the president or the government against not taking action.
Minister Sherif, let us have you started now on your.
So I just wanted that clarity that, to my knowledge, the party as an institution did not make a position, to my knowledge. If you have anything contrary, you can prove that. Like Malaya said, the president has always said he's open to whatever decision the Liberian people come up with. And you know there are divided views on this. And whatever position they come up with, the government supports that. I remember when he came, I think from one of the UN General Assemblies, he was at the airport and he was asked, and he said to them, if the Liberian people want it, we will support it. We are open to supporting it. So I encourage you as a journalist and everyone, including myself, if this is what we want as Liberians, let's go for it. No one deserves to owe impunity, especially when you commit a crime. So I hope that answers your question.
Minister, let us have Minister Sherif started on this one, because I've got some questions lined up even before you can leave. So I want you to start up to just give your point on why you think Mr. Weah deserves.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much. It is important.
Please allow me to
note.
Yeah, no
it
problem.
is important for us to note that President Weah was mandated by the Liberian people to serve their interest, and that is to better their lives. And from the topic proposed to us, you try to build it around the strength of the economy. I don't want to speak authoritatively here as an economist. The reason is very simple, because presently I operate in different spheres. That is the educational spheres. But I will also speak as one who is knowledgeable, not as a boss. I have a BSc in economics, cum laude, and I have my 4 master's degree in finance, magna cum. So it means we have some understanding as to how the economy works. So the first thing, you have to pay attention to the state of governance. When one takes power as a government, the most important thing you are to effectuate is governance. And when you look at governance, then it applies to 2 major sectors in allowing the country to flow in the right direction. That is both the public and the private sectors. And when you look at the public sector bringing forth the economy, then you got to look at what we will refer to as areas of tangible engagements. You look at the rule of law, you look at the military, you look at infrastructure, you look at education, you look at the health sector. So dominantly, they are always referred to as the 5 sectors of governance. So if you want to judge this government, and we believe we pay attention first to these keen areas of interest, how government has engaged them, where government met them, at which level it is, and what are the plans to take them to another level. So if you look at the issue of the military, in every state of governance, the first thing it points to is peace and stability. Peace and stability. President Weah, as an opposition leader and as a president, has continuously maintained that personality of peace. In this regime, we do not have the guns. We do not have unnecessary arrogance. The stability of the state is an achievement. If most people don't know this, let us use the platform to inform them. You move to the issue of education, which is one of the sectors. If you look at education, there have been extensive improvement in the lives of Liberians. Most often people will just strictly run to UL. But let us look at the Ministry of Education and its own programs, considering both the formal and informal sector. You also look at the Ministry of Youth and Sport and its program, considering the informal TVET and the non-formal TVET sectors. So you will realize that there have been a lot of improvement. Let's take, for example, for the first time in Liberian history, of which Vani you are well informed, for you to have the issue of wax fee being wholesomely paid by the government. The government is doing that for the 12th graders. That hasn't been done in any other government. You had the issue of the free tuition policy at UL. You have the issue where infrastructures are being built in the educational sector.
I'm not hearing anything anymore. I'm not hearing you guys.
When he took one brick and tried to provoke the president and said that here comes the 14 Military Hospital, with the indication that that was never possible. And the president, through partnership, constructed a 14 Military Hospital. And if you will agree with me without politics, it was one of the major facilities that helped us to prevent the widespread of the COVID-19 pandemic. That was wisdom. You go at JFK, you will see an extension. I'm discussing the sector to tell you the improvement in the sector. You go to JFK, you will also see improvement. You have the Emirate Hospital, that is just about the health sector. Let's look at infrastructure. You look across the country, a lot of roads have been built. Vanny Diggs, you and I are from Grand Cape County. You and I know the Medina Rawasport Road is so important to our people. As we speak, work have commenced on that particular road under this regime. As we speak, you and I are from that particular county. As we speak, you follow the road in Nema County. I'm discussing Leeward counties. You follow the engagement somewhere around Sackley, PA. You follow the engagement between Bon County and Lofa. You follow the engagement, and we have to be honest with ourselves. So now, if you want to look at the issue of the economy, the first thing you pay attention to the sectors of governance. So somehow, some way, this government has been very responsible, intangibly making impact in all of these major sectors. Then we come to the private sector. The private sector, most often, it is government responsibility to provide that enabling environment where people can function, operate, and see how best they can exist. And to your comparative analysis between where we met the economy, where we are. So the first thing we got to understand a few things about the issue of economics. When we talk about the economy is like the system, the ECONOMY. That is a system where people produce, distribute, and consume goods and services. That's how the economy is defined. Then, if you look at where we stand as a country, have we made some impact? Yes, we have made significant impact. When this government took over, inflation was at 31%. For me, I will provide you with empirical evidences.
Okay.
Yeah, it was at 31%.
Okay.
But as it stands now, it's at 7.4.
The source for the 31%.
You can check the 2022. Okay, I'll provide that for you. 2022, the World Bank report. Yeah.
2022 World Bank report.
Yeah, you can check that source. I will provide it for you.
Okay.
So it is important for us to understand that, right? And also, it is important for us to pay attention to knowing what is inflation. And inflation is the gradual increase in the general price level, where in simple terms, we can say more money chasing fewer goods. And you see, in economics, there are two major things that we refer to as the twins evil, that is unemployment and inflation. So if a government can be very responsible to fight inflation, bring it at this particular level, it tells you there are some progress that have been made. So I say you want to ask for another source for the budget. When we took over the budget in this country, we're around 530 million. But as we speak, our budget is around 789 million. Why do we pay attention to budget? Budget in economics is a source or determination for the development or growth of any country. It's called the envelope. It's called the PAR. So when one budget increases, it tells you that at this point that there are a lot of developmental activities that have been looked at. So with attachment and attraction, there's a possibility government can infuse the relevant resources to come up with a very good outcome. Then we pay attention to expenditure. If you follow, you will realize during the past regime, they had about 322 million that was expended in recurring expenditure. Recurring expenditure is an expenditure that occur over and over on the same thing, the salary and whatsoever, which was at 68%. Under this regime, recurring expenditure is somehow has been reduced to 54%. That is 232. So you see the difference. We are speaking economics. When these factors surface, then it tells you that yes, indeed, the issue of growth and development are being portrayed, because there's a difference between growth and there's a difference between economic development.
Certainly.
Yeah.
Okay.
So looking at all of these things, then you need to understand that yes, indeed, somehow, some way, economically, we are making progress.
Okay.
But can we also ignore the fact that there are not challenges? We say no. Because the real challenges we are experiencing is the bread and butter issues, which no one in this government will tell you, say all have been resolved. But we can tell you authoritatively there have been a lot of progress, and these progress that are made have to be recognized. They have to be known to the public, and this is where we stand.
So basically, I listened to you quoting some report from the World Bank.
Yeah.
So let me take you back to the report, also 2021 report from Global Hunger Index, that classifies Liberia's level of hunger as very serious, and is ranked 110th place out of 116 countries. You get me?
Yeah.
Then if you went to another report also by USAID, 2022 USAID fact sheet report, it says extreme poverty prevents Liberians from meeting basic food needs. More than 50% of Liberians live below the poverty line of $1.90 a day. So you also go and look at Action Against Hunger report that says more than half of Liberians live below the poverty line. All of these reports are between 2021 to 2022. So it's telling you that under the CDC-led government, more Liberians are going to bed on empty stomach, but yet the government justifies that it is doing well.
Those reports are reports that we value. If your sources are well authenticated,
they are available on the internet.
That's what I say. If your sources are well authenticated, they are reports that we appreciate. But for you to say that more Liberians are going to bed hungry,
that's what they,
as compared to the past government, then it means we can challenge that, because that is absolutely not truth. While we have to understand under this regime, there's the first thing that exists is the issue of acceptance of this government. The people reasonably accept this government. The second thing that exists is for the people life to be somehow empowered, somehow progressively moving forward. So for you to say that,
not for me,
no, that's what I'm saying. For that report, that's what I'm saying.
Those reports
can be challenged. Let me say this. One thing I've understood: most of the reports, most of the stories, at times, can come from what the media reports. You and I will agree. We've been around the NGO sector. We are personally in the public sector. So you will sit and somebody say, yeah, like the Vanny Dick said that. Like for example, like the way you argued here that CDC made opposition during 2017 or in opposition that she will have come with war crime code.
Sure.
And we are telling you that was not opposition of the CDC as a political party, but individuals spoke towards that. That we can't deny. So Vanny Diggs being a voice on the radio, and others who will now want to do further verification will side with what exactly Vanny Diggs have said that CDC called for war crime code as a political party. So what I'm saying to this is some of these reports, like I said, we appreciate them. The essence or significance of this report is to see how best you can look through them. Where you are making progress, you accept it. Where you are failing, you accept it, and you address the gap.
If these reports, let me take you, Minister Mamesi Kaba, because you have informed me that you would like to leave now. Okay, so I cited a number of reports, starting off with USAID. I also talk about a report from USAID, a report from Action Against Hunger, a report from the FAO, which I will talk about later as well in the program. But the first one talks about how Liberians are going to bed on empty stomach under the CDC-led government compared.
The first one, do you care to name your source? The first one.
Okay, so the 2021 Global Hunger Index classifies Liberia's level of hunger as serious. It says Liberia ranked.
Sorry, Global Hunger Index on a
report. So it is the Global Hunger Index report. It is released annually, indicating
released annually by World Bank or World Food. How you got WFP, World Food Program.
So that's the institution that is releasing the report now. Then I cited also another one from USAID that also released a 2021 report in its fact sheet. 2022. 2022. 2022, you said in its July 2022 report, it says extreme poverty prevents Liberians from meeting basic food needs. More than 50% of Liberians live below the poverty line, meaning they say more than 50% of the people in Liberia can afford $1.90 a day.
If they say more than 50% of Liberians live below the poverty line, you have to look at different indicators. It does not necessarily mean that Liberians go to bed with hunger.
But that's what they're saying.
These indicators could be access to employment. How many persons are being employed? Did they data on the number of people that are being employed?
Minister, this is very clear. Here is the report. I'm reading vividly. I'm reading what is. I'm coming. Let us do this step by step. I'm coming. One minute, please. So
that's the problem.
Yeah, let me read you this report. I'm coming. So I started off first with
it is very impossible for you to, because nobody, no Sierra Leone institution will do a report that has to do with an entire country. What you're doing right now is a summary you're reading. I challenge you, it's not a full report. The full report indicators. I'm coming.
So
the full report.
Minister, I'm coming. Hello. So let us do this step by step. I'm starting off. The people, it says 2021 Global Hunger Index.
People, is that how it started?
I'm coming now. I'm quoting it. 2021 Global Hunger Index classifies Liberia's level of hunger as serious. Liberia is ranked in that report. You can check it up. 2021. It says out of 116 countries that were surveyed, Liberia is at 110th place. Then I'm also coming to USAID 2022 report also, FASHI report. It says, I'm reading what is in the report.
So funny. I hope you're getting the point.
Minister,
when a report comes, it deals with a lot of things, and nobody can just take a Sierra Leone report in 1 minute and say, and just summarize it and say Liberians going to bed.
No, that's the summary of the report, not me summarizing. It is not me.
But a journalist, and we know
it's not my summary.
I did literature in school, right? We know the headlines. Sometimes the headlines are intended to attract the readers to the paper.
No, you're getting this wrong. This is not a media report.
So funny, the report will tell you that these people are into hunger. They will, if you go in detail of that report, they will get you the indicators for which, like the MCC report, right? The Millennium Challenge Compact. If you read the report, if you see the headline, Liberia passes the MCC scorecard. But if you go there, Liberia did not pass all the scores, all of the indicators rather in the report. The report is detailed. You read it, and they tell you why Liberia passed in this and why Liberia did not pass in this. When Liberia did not pass in certain indicators, it didn't mean Liberia did not make interventions. Liberia made intervention, but there was a specific number or targeted number Liberia needed to reach and did not reach, for which those indicators were not passed, we did not pass in. So if you just come and say, the report came out and say Liberians sleep on empty stomach, I would disagree with you until
that is what is written in the report. These are not my words.
Until you can tell me an indicator, for example, it said just by getting food to eat 3 times a day, you have to look at that. Besides that, you have to also do a comparative analysis. I'm a student of government. So if you want to tell us that, okay, we have this amount, to know that the government, as to whether the government has made intervention or not, you got to do comparative analysis. What was the number before the government came in? You tell us the number before the government came in. What was the ratio? And how has the government made impact towards changing the number or increasing the number? Did you do that? No. So I'm telling you my conclusion. We don't joke with serious-minded analysis and conclusion in such a manner because it deals with a lot of things. It looks at different factors. We have read reports substantially, look into it in detail, not just because we want a political aspect. So I will appreciate what you to exhaust the report and
Minister,
let us know whether Liberia has played a part. Where was Liberia before and the CDC government came in? Then we can come and discuss. So let me just give you reasons why I think the president will be re-elected, because I believe strongly that the people of Liberia
you don't want me to ask my questions, but you want to keep giving reasons.
But you know,
yeah, but honestly, Mama,
yeah,
I think Vani is intentionally keeping her in this cycle.
No, I'm not doing so. I just asked a simple question.
The thing is,
and I rest the report. These are not my making.
Realistically, 50% of Liberians don't go to bed on empty stomach.
These are not my reports.
You are aware of that. Realistically, you are also aware that what you say or your report is telling you is not the fact on the ground. So if you can open this line of which you will do, and you have Liberians pouring in their views, there is one thing that they will condemn.
Minister, I don't want to agree. It will not be realistic. How many percent of Liberians will call on the radio? Even if
no. What I'm saying, if they want to pour politics out of it, outside of politics, you will realize that report.
It's a usage report. This is not my report.
No, but
it's on the internet.
But who told you that reports can be challenged? I told you that reports can be challenged.
Good.
Some of these reports are just based. So let's take for example, the thing where Jonathan Pelele can be reporting on BBC. You and I here like the fact.
I need to
the thing that Jonathan Pelele can report for BBC to carry most often are they reality?
So the both of you are saying something different.
Are they reality? But now, if you follow BBC coverage, they will pay attention to Jonathan Pelele.
You just said
because if you don't do fact check, you see, that's why we love the Western society. You and I are aware. Let's take for example, during presidential debates, during occasional interviews, when people make up points, even if you give sources, immediately you will see fact checks. But when somebody isn't in your own direction, when these things are pronounced, they go by them. And I'm giving you a very common example that is in our setting at Jonathan Pelele.
Let's do this.
Everything Jonathan Pelele reports on the BBC for Liberia is awkward. For Liberia under this regime is totally bad. It's totally wrong, only because he has politically identified himself to be a member of the ANC.
Okay, so
but he's a journalist.
Okay,
so when he reports for an entity that the BBC, they take it without any fact check to come on the ground, and the next thing it goes into a report.
So I think
these reports can be challenged.
Good. I think you struck the right point.
Yeah, they
can be challenged.
Yeah.
But the minister now is trying to trash in some sense to say maybe I am the one. No, I am citing 3 different reports, which is you said.
I'm not saying that. I think your viewers, I am saying to you, it's not your report. I'm not blaming you. But I'm saying to you,
exactly.
You got to look at different indicators So when a report comes, it gets in detail. They give reasons and they get things that constitute what they consider hunger. So what they consider poverty, for example, if somebody say Liberia has a poverty rate, they will have to give you the indicators of what constitutes poverty. It will not just be because someone went to bed, they slept, and they didn't get food to eat. No,
So,
it's not
so,
just.
so,
They're going to look at different indicators. So I'm saying the fact that we have not exhausted the report, going into it will be biased, even from my end. So I'm saying let's exhaust the report. Send me the link, read it, and I read it. We talk about it another time. Because right now we'll be reading it from an unfair perspective, and we'll just be wasting time. So let me go
Exactly.
to
That's
the
why I said Ronnie is intentionally keeping her in this cycle.
no, I'm not keeping you. This is just.
And
I come in.
no,
I come in.
let me say this. Let me lay on this before you come in. You know, exception from being political, at times I like to be very real. There will always be poverty.
I think I will have to
There
go.
will always be hardship.
But you don't tell people these things while you are in opposition.
No, just listen to me. Listen to
why
me.
you
I
are-
let you speak in context. There will always be poverty. There will always be hardship. Whether you agree with me or not, you will not have people existing equally equal. But is the government being responsible to address the gaps? Yes. Because when these things exist, then government comes in with the requisite policy or mechanism to at least ameliorate, that is to lessen that particular condition. And this government is responsibly doing that. So to create the impression that people go, 50% of Liberians go to bed on empty stomach,
Check these
that is
reports up.
totally fallacy.
Check these reports.
No, we
up.
will do, but that's what I said. It can be challenged because these reports are made by people. You getting it?
But you cited the World Bank report as having told
Exactly,
you
and
that
you
brought
can
down.
and you can challenge that.
Okay,
For
so-
me, I started it with okay, comrade. I started it.
Let me just conclude on the Novani. I will just like to
I thought I go by your doing general.
I will have to conclude. So I will conclude on this note that the president will be re-elected. He will gain the confidence of the Liberian people. One, the opposition is very disjointed. We don't have a strong opposition community.
So that's the only reason why he will go back.
The president has shown seriousness towards changing the livelihood of the Liberian people, towards making Liberia a better place for everyone. It is a good thing that today Punch FM, as a station that is perceived as a station that is an opposition station, has won a case against the government. It speaks volume to how we embrace democracy. And I want to know, Vanny, is this the same Punch FM that owns the television station we are on right now?
Yeah, this is Punch FM, Punch TV.
It speaks to our tolerance, knowing fully well that a station has a side, yet people from the government can still come and have several exchanges, and without any discrimination. People used to escape from FM.
Punch, when did Punch come up to officially tell you that it had a side?
People used to refuse to appear on
No,
King's
when
FM.
did Punch tell you that it got side?
Also, today we have electricity. I know as a young person, Cape Mon, where Minister Sherry comes from, Cape Mon never had electricity for so many years. Today, the people of Cape Mon can boast of electricity under the watchful eyes of President George Manuel Weah. The people of Bombing County now can boast of electricity. There have been huge expansion in electricity.
If you keep going there, it means I have to bring questions now because I thought you were saying goodbye.
On this one, I know as a child when I was growing up, I nearly got abused because I went to ask someone for wire fees. Today, no child, no young woman can be abused simply because she will not have to go look for wire fees. The government, under the watchful eyes of this government, under the supervision of His Excellency, Dr. George Manuel Weah, you will not have to struggle to pay wire fee. Most students are at the University of Liberia.
Your government civil servants that are struggling to survive in this country, saying they are running a proper government, but the government went and harmonized people's salary, thus plunging them into abject.
And these will not have to go to jail because he expressed his opinion. The harmonization is quite better than when the people came here. They told us they were going to redundant people. They took jobs from our people. We came and said, whether you voted for us or not, it is better we all stay in the government and make small. It is better to carry something home than to carry nothing home. Unlike the other people in the past, when they came, they removed our people and brought people from abroad to work. and then make our people jobless. Some people were frustrated, they killed themselves. We have come to say, let's take little and everybody stay in. Little is much, then coming with nothing. So I can say to you, with all of these things and many other more, President George Manneh Weah is going to be re-elected. You saw the manifestation on February 4th when the people of Liberia trooped in, and not just trooping in, but simultaneously they came in and spontaneously abroad, all part of Liberia, Montserrat, they all trooped in to support this president's nomination. So I can assure you that President Weah is going to regain the confidence of the Liberian people, based on what his government is doing and what his government has done. No government has done what our government has done within a first term, and that is why we believe strongly that our people will re-elect the president. Thank you so very much.
With that, we'll bid you farewell on the platform. Let's join the honorable minister here in studio. Chief. So the first thing is,
let us stick to this. We don't need to go into my job, but perhaps on a closing we can
talk about that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but I think it is important to inform the Liberian people that this government is poised to serve their interests continuously. This government is positioned to maintain its trajectory of growth and development, and there are a lot of reasons why you
cited some of those reasons.
I cited some of those reasons.
I have not asked most of the questions I have. So
let me
go now. Good. So the first one I ask is the government campaign on a pro policy, which means that everything the government will do is going to be directed in the interest of the people. Sorry for the poor quality of my voice. I'm under the weather. When the government took office, in no time, we were told by the Minister of Finance that the government was experiencing some challenges at the time. But what did the government do was to have cut people's salary, reduce people's salary, people who were already not making even the minimum wage, but government further went and reduced that salary. Was that not a recipe for further plunging people into more suffering?
For the issue of engaging harmonization, we want to call upon every Liberian to see reason, firstly, to congratulate Honorable Samuel D. Tuah Jr. And let me say this. You know, before we took over, Madam Sirleaf strongly made the Liberian people to understand that they need to brace themselves, something that you had the opportunity of interviewing President Sirleaf, Vanny Diggs.
Sure.
She strongly made the Liberian people to understand the economy has shrunk and Liberians should brace themselves for an upturn. And with this statement, you and I, who are well educated, we knew exactly from whence she came. And a lot of people thought that this government will have crumbled in its beginning years, to the point that we have reached this far and we are conspicuously standing tall with a lot of achievements. These are things that our detractors, these are things that the naysayers and people can believe. So now let me get to you for the harmonization. The intent of the harmonization was to reduce recurrent expenditure. Like I intimated earlier, we met recurrent expenditure at 68%. That is seeing money in, seeing cycle, paying, seeing people. And whenever a nation wants to develop economically, you should get involved with capital investment. That is rule. Or let's just say infrastructure.
Which has not happened even under your government.
No, it's happening. Roads are being built.
Since 2017.
Roads are being built. Roads are being built.
I want to tell you,
electricity
from
is
2018, since you took office, from 2018 until now, all of the allotment to capital projects have always been far lesser than recurring expenditure. But while you were in opposition, you told UP that was not how it should have been done.
And this is why progress has been made. I just told you we made recurring expenditure at 68%.
And you think that is significant?
Yeah, and we drop it to 54%. So there's an improvement. You know, at times when we want to criticize, and if you follow us in the opposition, some of us, or Malaya Zed Sharif, there was always a time we identify the gain, we identify the minuses, then we provide recommendation. But at times when people come to the public glare, they fail to recognize that there have been tremendous gains when it comes to the issue of this nation making progress. So to the question you ask, I must say, yeah, my salary was harmonized. The only unfortunate part is for harmonization to have affected those who were below the 1,000 range.
You do agree that was wrong?
That's why I say unfortunate part.
It was wrong.
Unfortunate part.
Okay. You don't want to use the word wrong.
No, I don't want to use the word wrong.
Okay.
The reason is when people make decisions, sound decisions, it's not about it being right or wrong. It's about the issue of necessity. That's why people don't know. Policy makers make decisions based on necessity. Not because Vanny will have to be happy or the other person will be angry. But what is important that we move the general good of the public forward. Okay. So from the standpoint of necessity, I cannot use the word wrong.
Okay.
But I can tell you, follow Sierra Leone. Did you see the post of Umaru Fofana? Just not too long, Umaru Fofana from the BBC. He said he's thinking harmonization needs to play part. You getting it? Economically, what harmonization does, it reduces the higher earner to see how best you can have a float to those who are below that earning gap.
Was that the case, or it was because the government bloated the payroll with bringing so many people on board?
No, that was the case. It's not because the government bloated the payroll. That was the case.
Because
no minister under this regime earned more than 9,000 US. Are you aware of that? I mean, no minister, starting from Minister Popper down, no minister.
No, but the point is,
but on a past regime, no, listen now. So, like even us as a system minister, we were somewhere between 3,200 benefits, somewhere everything comes around 4,700 or 5,000. Do you want to know how much I earn now? And
I'm sure it should be
$1,705.
Yeah, some people want it.
$4,000 Liberian dollars. That's my salary. I'm a public figure, so the people has to know. But in the past regime, look at the gap. Government reduced that gap, put some of the money towards capital investment, put some to other people to get paid. So we need to understand that harmonization is a process. This is why when the president realized, based on report provided him, that about 15,000 persons were totally affected by the harmonization.
After 5 years,
that is based on the one, not after 5 years. It was based on the results that were provided him. So there were technicians have the part to play, and the technician had a part to play and brought it to the president's purview. And this is why in his prerogative as a leader of this nation, pronounce an immediate action. So that is also necessity. It's about timing. It's about what is necessary for the good of the people. Not because somebody has to be happy or somebody has to be sad, but because it is necessary.
So you believe that was what the government should have done at a point in time? That's your point.
What the government should have done at a point in time?
Meaning you justify that it was necessary, even though people were already pushed.
It is necessary.
The low income earners, that's what I'm talking about.
I don't want you to put it in the past. It is necessary to be addressed. So not that it was necessary and it wasn't done. No, it is necessary. That's why it has been addressed.
Also, the issue with this government having campaign, we come in this place, Liberians will not depend on importing rice. When we come in this place, this country will produce our own rice. Over the last 5 to 6 years, agriculture has received very insignificant allotment under the CDC-led government. Does that show a government that is serious about diversification of the economy?
The government is serious.
Over 5 to 6 years, the last budget, if I'm not making mistakes, 4 million or 3 million. Yeah. If you look at the chart, it's the least.
The government is serious about diversifying our economy.
What you're serious about will be shown on how you spend your money.
I like it when you use the word diversification. Because our economy is an input-based economy. And as long our economy increment. You look all around about what this country, under the leadership of His Excellency President George Manuel Weah, has strived to maintain stability, economic stability, to maintain peace and tranquility, to improve upon infrastructure, to improve upon the health sector, to improve upon freedom of expression,
I listen to
speech,
you mention
democracy,
inflation.
and everything.
You mentioned inflation from
Yeah.
the beginning.
Yeah.
During Madam Salif's administration,
Yeah.
I was buying the fuller bread for $30. Now, during the CDC, it climbed to 40. Now it is 50. I was buying the we say Fanti bread for around $20. It is now $40. Cup of rice, I do remember during Madam Salif time, it was fluctuating between $40 to $50, but most time it used to be around 40. Transportation from Red Hill Field, where I used to live, to Broad Street used to be $50. Douala used to be 20, then 30 moving forward. At a certain point in time, climbed to 60 from Douala to Broad Street. At a certain point in time, from Broad Street to ELW Junction went to 70. But now all of those distances I'm talking about, transportation fares have increased. The prices of basic commodities, even though the FAO in a new report also, if I should tell you that as well, is projecting that even moving up to 2023, these basic commodities are going to be skyrocketing.
Thank you. So, you know, you spoke on the surface and you left the economic ingredients out.
Okay, let's hear you.
So, the first thing you consider, they get something they call prices after adjusted inflation. Another thing that you left out is what we call appraisal, APPRARSAL. And one thing you and the public need to understand, there will always be gradual incrementalism. In economics, it means that prices will continue to grow. But now when you focus on adjusted prices after inflation, then you understand the reality of the day, whether inflation is being controlled or not. And this is what we are faced with. The analysis you give is not unique to Liberia. Prices all around the world are increasing. But as prices increase around the world, who are those taking the responsible step that the prices can commensurate with the purchasing power of the people? This government is doing it.
The government is doing it.
It's doing it. So the first thing,
let me give you an example.
I'm coming. We are speaking economics here. So I don't want you to leave it on the surface. So when you expect these prices to come out, which will constantly happen, the time our fathers, with all any disrespect to them, you and I know, Lanco, where be Lanco, they used to watch the car with beer. You knew the prices. They used to tell you, say, bricks or what we call blocks were somehow $1. Land was days. From that time up to present, there will always be increase. But in economics, to have adjusted inflation and to understand the prices commensuration of the day is when you know that the government is responsible. I carry you right to Ghana. Ghana is experiencing severe inflation. Because when you look at inflation, you look at cost pool inflation, demand pool inflation, you know, these are the types of inflation. If you go to Ghana, they are even getting a combined that they are even confused. Ghana is running out that we praise every day. So if you come to Liberia, when prices are increasing all around the world, and it will never stop. Let you know this and let others outside there know. Economically, it will never stop. So the only thing a responsible government can do is to increase the purchasing power of the citizenry.
Which is not happening.
No, it's happening. That you can afford now to pay your $60.
Bossman, this government has not increased the purchasing power of the people.
No, it has.
Because even in...
It has.
I'm coming.
This government has increased the purchasing power of the Liberian people.
What's your evidence?
The evidence is
because I want to take you to both the public and private sector.
No, the evidences are there. We go back to our time. When I say our time, our age. Chancellor were paying civil servant how much? 15 United States dollars. Are you aware? 15 United States dollars per month. And
there were people that were making even 700 liberty.
There was absolutely no accountability. There was absolutely no accountability. We moved the money.
What were the prices of things at that time?
Thank you. That I won't put in order. We coming there. Then we come to Madam Salif, What was the pay grade during Madame Salif time? It was between $70 to $100. True or false?
Sure.
The pay grade,
The first half of a
the
government.
first hour was 70.
Yeah.
You get in there to 100. Then under this regime, you had an elevation that said everybody should be below the minimum wage that was set. And what was the minimum wage? 150. You get in it. So that is an increase in purchasing power. Then you're coming back to prices, like you readily asked. And that way I will bring you back to why it calls having the ability to control inflation. During Chancellor time, $15, right? But what was happening? The rate at that time was somewhere around 42 to 48. Can you reason with that?
I'm getting you.
You move on to Madame Salif. If you observe, gradually the rate started increasing on Madame Salif. But most of you, when you discussing the economy, you don't pay attention to that. You make it look like the rate increase on the CDC government so high. You get on Madame Salif from 42 to 48 chancellor level with the country. Madame Salif, Gigi Bryan took over. It came between 68 to 70. Madame Salif came, it started pushing 120, 140, 150, 160. You get in it? And when CDC came, it was always a fluctuation between the 150 to 175. So what it tells you
on the overall, Chief.
No, so I want to tell you, we're speaking economics here today.
I come in. This is just.
And I'm working with the Ministry of Finance.
Yeah,
like I said, at least I got a BS in economics, cumulative, and I got a master's in finance.
Here is the simplest
My
thing.
first master. So we
sim-
understand it.
Here is the simplest thing.
Okay.
To increase the purchasing power of the people, which you said,
Yeah.
putting money directly in their pocket.
Yeah.
So my point is, if you are putting money directly in my pocket,
Yeah.
and yet there is another factor called inflation that affects the money that is coming in my pocket.
Yeah.
How does it benefit? How do I then boast that money is coming to my pocket?
So this is it. I just want you to understand, inflation and unemployment will always exist. That's why economically they are called twins evil. But
when you're in opposition, you can't say it.
No, we said those things, and government is working to ameliorate the situation, to lessen the situation. I can tell you, Vanny, let's be honest. Let's be honest about this.
We don't want to in the place. We know what I was saying.
This government,
we know what I was saying.
This government has made a lot of gains. This government have expanded the landscape for real economic benefit. And we have to give applause to Samuel D. Twell when it comes to that. Let's be honest, he and his team. He and his team, they have done excellently well to create a stability when it comes to the economic values of the particular country. When you move, like I was telling you, education, you are seeing the impact, Vanny. Like the reason you wanted me to talk here more on my job, because you follow what we are doing in the TV sector. Very hugely contributing, very hugely building infrastructure, sending Liberians abroad.
How do you connect building infrastructure and job? Bro, that's one thing. Providing giving the skills.
Thank you.
And how does the man get the job is
Thank
just
you.
another thing.
So how do you connect? There's a difference between economic growth and economic development.
Certainly.
So usually
there can be growth without development.
That's it. That's it. So economic, so you understand that part, we move forward to.
And why your Minister of Finance like to boast about GDP?
No, but there are growth and development. The development is the well-being of the people.
Which under this government.
And the well-being of the people is particularly been seen and felt.
FAO, UNICEF.
We are not telling you we are not talent. I don't want to speak here like somebody who is not informed.
Okay, Chief.
We are talent. But there are a lot of progress that have been made. Sustained progress economically.
So back to what I was saying. You are providing skills for the young people. There are no jobs to absorb the people.
Okay. So there are two things TVET does. So you want to come to my job. There are two things TVET does.
Interchangeably.
Yeah, there are two things TVET does.
Okay.
TVET provides employability skills and entrepreneurship skills.
Okay.
So employability is where you have the opportunity to be employed by either the public or the private sector.
Meaning government is connecting you to get that job. Is that what you're saying?
That's why I say either by the public or the private sector. You getting it? Entrepreneurial ability or entrepreneurship is the ability for you as an individual to become self-employed. So these are the two things that TVET offers. So it is also a challenge to get every person absorbed. Yes, it's a challenge. But are efforts being made to address these challenges? Yes, efforts are being made, Vanny. So we don't want to
you still take me back. You're giving me entrepreneurship skills. I am done with my courses.
Yeah.
This other may also wear.
So we're sticking to TVET now. We're leaving the politics and economics.
We will be coming back, but let's talk about TVET small. Yeah, you finna give me the skill.
Yeah.
Then there is no further assistance from the government like other countries would do, where we give you the skill and then we give you certain percentage in terms of finance to enable you to start up a business and say, my man, seeing job business difficult in the country, this is what government can get you. Go and start up your own business based on the skills you have. TVET is not doing that under your leadership.
No, I disagree.
Disprove me, Chief.
So the first thing we need to know, let's give an overview of our office. Since we have come to TVET. No, you're not pushing me in the middle of the discussion.
All right, boss.
Because if you put me in the middle of the discussion and they ask questions, then the people will not be informed. So to get them informed, then we have to at least lay a premise.
All right.
The first thing, we want to say thank you to our predecessor. That is Honorable Boyka Jaliba. You and our big brother. He did a very good job there.
Okay.
When we took over, we choose to look at what has been done. We value it.
Okay.
We did an assessment, identify the gaps, and we choose to address those gaps.
Okay.
So the good things that were done, we saw reason to accept them and improve upon them. The gaps that were identified, we saw reason to get involved with those gaps. And what were those gaps? We observed the issue of infrastructure. We observed the issue of modern equipment. We observed the issue of capacity building. And under this regime, TVET is anchored basically in two ministries: the Ministry of Youth and Sport
and Education,
and Ministry of Education. The Ministry of Education supervises the former TVET, that is TVET in academic schools. The Ministry of Youth and Sport supervises the informal and the non-formal. That is, we are being considerate of the illiterates, the semi-literates, and the literates. We consider them leaving absolutely no one behind. So, like I said, with the issue of governance, with the issue of infrastructure, with the issue of human capacity development and modern equipment, we pay keen attention to these things. And I want you to take your microphone and your video and visit the major institutions that I'm about to name. To strengthen partnership, through the leadership of His Excellency President George Manuel Weah, through the leadership of our two bosses, Honorable D. Zioka Wizing and Honorable Professor Ansel D. Sonin, we were able, and Honorable Samuel D. Toure as the National Authorizing Officer, this country were able to attract fundings from partners in the TV sector. As we speak, we have the Youth Rising Project. The Youth Rising Project is being funded by the European Union, implemented by UNIDO for both the Ministries of Youth and Sport and the Ministry of Education. On that project, we have sent 64 Liberians in foreign countries to study: Kenya, South Africa, and Zambia. As I speak to you, on the 27th, and your station will be represented, 12 of the Liberians are returning from South Africa. They did furniture or carpentry and joinery. They are returning. They've been there for 12 good months. They are returning. As I speak to you, between now and March, we are sending additional 46 Liberians on the two ministries. Liberian TVET instructors to go and study in Benin and also to study in Ghana. Agriculture in Benin will be attending the Center of Songhai. They're going to study agriculture for 18 months with emphasis on aquaculture. In Ghana, they will be attending the JACCD, the FC Beauty, the Adidomi Institute. You know, they will be there to improve upon hospitality, to upskill themselves. They are not novices we are sending. They are already instructors and pre-service. So we are sending them. So no, I didn't name that is only for the human capacity. You've been following the pictures that were posted before the President's State of the Nation address.
Few structures.
Yeah. Few, but also very important and strategic. You follow the Vonjama multilateral. You follow the Sando multilateral, the Zwejo multilateral, the Kipamos High School, the BWR, the MVTC, the Tottenham Hall, these are all completed. And you know that you saw the structures.
So
and equipment are being installed.
I
want to tell you, honor my job, the gap I saw. And why we put in as a government to address it, that the gap.
I think you've said a lot, but
exactly. That's why I want you to honor.
You've said a lot, but I'm still coming to this point, Chief.
And
I want to hear from you on this.
Okay.
It is not possible to run a TVET sector without taking into consideration issues of the economy and jobs.
I agree.
So this is my point now. How do we strike the balance? Where is the correlation between TVET skills acquisition and job acquisition from government's own? That's what I want to get. Then we go into something else.
Thank you. So we are also making progress on that front. Like I speak to you, the 24th of this month, I will be putting out 240 graduates.
Okay.
From the Business and Domestic Occupational Training Center, the BDOTC. It is adjacent SKD.
Okay.
And as I speak to you, 76% of them have already been employed. So you know what we do? I'm not discussing both the Ministry of Education now and us. I'm discussing us as Ministry of Youth and Sport. So what we do responsibly, before graduation, we send our students on 3 months internship. The only time we did not do that for MVTC, it was during the COVID-19 period. So up to now, we have issue with MVTC on that. So when we send these people for 3 months, the first thing I myself get into the classroom, Minister Bima get into the classroom, we teach them job readiness. We prepare them because we are sending them to entities. Our staffs go out there, do visitations, identify where we need to send them. Not only in Montserrat, all over the country. And when they come back with those fundings, then we place the students. We use on that 2 weeks, 3 weeks, job readiness. I mean, myself is involved in the classroom by that time. After the job readiness, we put them on internship. And when they go on internship, based on their performance, the way we can coach them, most often, most of them get employed. So if you come at that program, which will be invited again, you will listen to success stories. You will see us telling Corina Hotel, thank you, Bolivar, Hamilton, tailoring store and place that around here that accepted our students. For MVTC, we had a challenge quite recently, but that challenge occurred due to miscommunication or lack of patience. I think you follow the issue where people took to the streets. There were incidences where the volunteer teacher weren't paid. They weren't paid not because we were insensitive. They came in as volunteers and we sent their names to CSA, which we were expecting them to start taking paid in February. So a meeting was convened. I informed them that I needed to have a meeting with them so that at least we can have some internal arrangement.
Okay.
But they didn't show up to the meeting and didn't communicate to the students and left the class when the students took to the street. And they also demanded materials that have been settled. The reason I bring MVTC is that I speak to you, they are now on their tier term and they will be starting their 4th term. When they start their 4th term, their practical materials have already been signed. Our procurement department is buying all of those materials to supply them. We expected, the procurement process is about bureaucracy. That one, So hopefully it will be there. Then they start the practical. When they are done with the practical, they enter their 5th term. I just told you about internship. The total number of students there is around 2,640. We will be engaging partners. They are ArcelorMittal.
Does government have a figure on the total number of people that have benefited from TVET skills under your administration?
Oh, yes, indeed.
How many?
I just giving you figures. I can give you figures per schools.
But not in totality.
No, I can't give you totality
for the entire country.
No.
Okay.
I can give you per school.
But if you were to estimate,
we will consider the training. We are targeting the 10,000 that was ascribed to the Ministry of Youth and Sport under Youth Development. If you follow the PAPD, we are to target 10,000.
10,000.
Yeah, I can tell you
10,000 as compared to the ratio of the number of young people in this country.
Yeah. So you know what we're doing?
Is that a progress?
So serious progress. You don't have to look at numerical value as compared to productive value. What is numerical value? Numerical value consider population. To say, oh yeah, we get 100,000 person. What is productive value? Productive value is you get a 100 person and you make every one of them school goers, 100,000, you make everybody school goers, or you take 20,000, you impact their lives, and they are not school goers, but they are people who are productive.
They did other people.
No, you're not leaving other people. I just told you about leaving nobody behind. They will get a YOJT, youth on the job training, where we assign people to apprentices. What I'm telling you, you have to understand that we target. And when we base on the target, we must reach this particular target. And when you reach a particular target, you can elevate to another level. Do you want to exist with other target, with other plan? Then it means you'll not be doing anything.
Minister, let us wrap up on few notes quickly, which will be on general issues again, because at least you were able to mention a few of your progress in the TVET sector. But your government, the CDC-led government, I'm saying these things because I was one person in the opposition while you were in opposition, that already interviewed folks from the CDC, from Chairman Molu to Koji to the former Minister of State. The issue of corruption, whenever TR report came up at the time, the UP government would have been bashed. Many times they would be bashed on this. But from 2018 to the latest TR report, CDC has failed in everything. The Minister of State, under the close eyes of the president, was implicated in corruption scheme. That's one of the one I want to touch on. And then secondly, also with the issue of security in the country. You criticized the Harry Grief situation at the time. Under your government, in sequential order, people that were in position of sensitive audit reports died in sequential order. How do you respond to these things? You can start with any one of them.
Firstly,
issue of corruption.
Firstly, we want to say sorry to the bereaved families of those that you refer to as people that were somehow connected to the issue of auditing. But then you are not doing this government justice.
Go ahead.
All of those deaths were investigated. Not only investigated, autopsy were conducted, and those reports were made public. Fanning, do the public justice by reading those reports, as you have mentioned those deaths. Or else when you do that, then you will be creating an oblivion air. And when you create that oblivion air, then it means that you become more political than a journalist. So if you are now accusing government of allowing these people to die on them, since nobody's supposed to die because Jowiah is president, you should also be able to inform the public that these people's deaths were investigated, that I expected you to say, autopsies were conducted, and those autopsy reports came out as to how those deaths occurred. So let's be frantic about that first.
I think it's because of the context in which you want to answer from. Because here is my point. Auditors in possession of sensitive audit reports. Who
defines how sensitive the reports were?
Someone from the very government.
Who defines who someone?
Eugene Fagon from the government.
Eugene Fagon is sorry from post-traumatic disorder.
And he said
one of the PSD, leave Eugene Fagon. He said what we need to do for Eugene Fagon? You people who are journalists and few friends of his in government, this is a time that they need to allow Fagon to experience some psychiatric counseling, bring him on board. There are times.
You got a man saying truth?
No, it's not about the truth. Did Fagon defend the government? Yes. But let me tell you one thing. If you are a professional person, the way you carry yourself will determine your future. So, exception from being a politician, there will be somehow to always project professionalism. So, Paul Fagon wants her. Because the first thing, Fagon is a loquacious person.
Fagon worked in the government. He occupied a very key position.
I work in the government, right?
Meaning he worked.
I work in the government. Do I know everything in the government?
He did say he was there when one of the auditors went to meet with Bati Yeswa, when he went to meet with the Minister of State at the time.
Yeah, so
in possession of sensitive reports.
No,
and he said they were.
So who determines? Listen to me.
Fagon said
no. One thing I've always listen. Listen, it is good for one to think before he talks. If you talk before you think, then it shows how dummy you are.
But I think
no, I'm coming back to Facon now.
He read it.
I'm coming back to Facon.
The main thing.
No, I'm coming back to Facon. I'm coming back to Facon. Say you want to stay on Facon a little bit. Let agree ceteris paribus, holding all other factors constant. Let agree that Facon saw Yensua with McGill. McGill back then was the Minister of State. A lot of person in government had access to McGill when they want to talk to the president. So if you see a government official, like even up to now, McGill is sanctioned. Quite recently, McGill must say have a personal conversation. So if you see Melaya going to McGill, so that means Melaya should be sanctioned. Is what you telling me? That means I went to McGill to tell him say the government doing this. So because of Facon, who is suffering from post-stress traumatic disorder, because he's not in government, because he saw somebody going to Bati Yensua or Bati Yensua going to McGill. So it means that...
No, he said the minister was told that the report was damaging.
No, listen, and that was because he said, Facon, those are made up stories.
No, that's why he said.
Listen, I don't want us, people are still mourning their beloved ones. For me, when I'm saying things, I like to be very careful. People are still mourning their beloved ones. The only thing I'm saying here, we should not play politics with their death. Because investigations were conducted, autopsies report came out, and we all follow it. If people doubt those reports, it is important that they can go further. You getting it? That's how people are supposed to behave. So I can't hear the particular scenario you're using to play politics with people death. Those people are still being mourned by their beloved ones. And that's why initially I said, may their soul rest in peace. I pitied their beloved ones. I pitied what happened to them, but those reports were out. If the family believe they can still be challenged, then that's it. But for you to look at Facon and say, because Facon say, how many things have Facon not said around here? So you will believe it, say he left government, then that means the whole government should be crashing. Because like I said, there are times I worked on McGill. So you see me to McGill, you see me to Blamo Wizard, you see me with Minister Tua, you see me with other people. So my liars go there. The first thing, they are senior brothers. Except of being senior brothers, they are government officials that we have relationship with. So because you see me there and something occurred, then that means a story? No. But the first thing to end on Facon, I think Facon is destroying himself
by
not being professional, by not being political, and by not being somehow conscious.
You think so?
Very well.
You have the view of those who say he talks too much.
Yeah, that's why I say he's loquacious. Thank you. You break it down for the ordinary. He's loquacious. And you don't do that as a public servant. You see me? I just don't take to the media.
When things are wrong?
No, when things are wrong, you said, one person was very objective.
But he says...
No, listen to me. Even in this conversation, I'm not telling you that hunger doesn't exist like you were making it look. I told you that hunger exists and government is addressing it, but the 50% is not factuality. Even in this conversation, I'm not telling you there are not challenges, but I'm telling you government have made significant progress, though there are challenges. So you have to observe these things. So you can say it. Listen, when you're at a policy or technical level, it is important you work to solve the problems. It is important that you understand that you have to be part of the solution. So not because you leave government, that's when you choose to talk. No.
The B to the question was why you were in opposition. You criticized Madam Sirleaf at the time, the UP, for having flunked in the TR report.
From corruption.
Corruption. My point is, you hailed TR at the time. When Madam Sirleaf flunked at certain point in time. But for your aspect from 2018, I have followed all of the reports, downloaded them. CDC failed in everything.
So that means you want to discuss corruption generally. I'm not a legal luminary, but one thing I believe that lawyers will always do, they will always pursue evidences to be adduced in court of competent jurisdiction. The first thing when you enter government, the issue of perception is very high. That's the first thing. Outside that one thing, you enter that another thing. In the Liberian context, and I'm sure it's all around the world, when you enter government, people perceive you to be a role. It's about how you carry yourself for you to be distinguished. So the issue of perception is the first thing that affects us as government officials. Then even me here now, Like, I'll give you an example before I proceed. There was a time I chose to pick one of my neighbors because she stopped me right on my way. Melias, please help me to go to town. Put her in the car. When we got at the gas station, and I took off $50 from my high-end salary and chose to buy gasoline. Later, she didn't talk there. Later, she came to come because she's not far from me. And she bought a discussion and said, but I saw the men buying gas. I thought that's also gas tip they can give them. You're getting a perception. So what I'm saying is, perceptions are created for also a government official. To the point people believe that we should serve in charity. Elias Sherry will work for $1,705 with 64,000 Liberian. I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't use them myself around. But the day you see me, I take some money from the bank and put up maybe something like some apartment, you say the men corrupt. Meaning I'm not supposed to work, I'm not supposed to improve. One.
You do that one.
Which one?
The way you say take small money from the bank.
I have done that. My whole life I've been loan. My economist, I believe in loan. I take it. I want more. If you want to have me personally more, I live with $678.
Okay.
I take money from the bank to invest. That's how I know it works.
Okay.
To release burden off me. But I'm saying when people look around and see these things, then they tell you, say, oh, the men corrupt, the men just enter. They fail to know that the first thing you work for your salary, and when you are organized, you can invest your salary. So people don't even pay attention to this thing. They believe when you government official that charity work. The first thing they want to question your existence. Where he getting it from? No. Some people use their senses, some of us. So to proceed on the issue of corruption, perception is the first thing that destroying every government official. Now I talk about evidences being adduced. So you want government, they say Melias Sherry corrupt. The public assume or perceive that I'm corrupt. Government choose to raise a case. Do you know that government have lost cases against corruption? And you know that? Government choose to pursue a case. You take the man to the court. The first thing you and I know in common law logic, the burden of proof lies on what? The accuser, right? So the first thing is not the man, it's not Melias Sherry will be bringing evidences to prove that he's corrupt. So the government who is accusing should be able to provide evidences. So at this point, government have lost cases, which you are aware of. So if the society perceive everyone to be corrupt, government takes on these cases, and all of a sudden, government start losing bigly. The first thing, it shows the judicial incompetence of the government. You will be the same one behind this microphone, saying every time the government go, they're losing cases, every time. So to fight corruption, you need evidence. To fight corruption, there should be convincing evidences that can be adduced in a competent court or jurisdiction, and people follow and say, yes, this man is guilty. Exception from that, what is happening in Liberia is perception. Now you talk about McGill. McGill was sanctioned. The Medzinski report. Bill Tuareg, and who again?
The Solicitor General.
The Solicitor General, former Solicitor General. That these three men, what did the president responsibly do? You think those people just resign? If the president is serious about fighting corruption? You think they just resign? Don't you think that they were told to resign?
Is that where he should have stopped? He said.
Don't you think so?
Is that where?
So the first thing, and let me say this. That's the American report. We respect it. We value the relationship. But we don't need to condemn these three people now and they can be competently adjudged. Let me reiterate. The American report said these people are this. They do these things. So we sanction them for social economic reasons.
President, we are saying
we are responsibly accepted their resignation. That is a great step toward the fight against corruption. Except I don't want to recognize it. After accepting their resignation, you and I now should be calling for investigation. That's what we need to be calling for, because the president has already taken the first step. We should be calling for an investigation, but to just condemn them because America says it. For me, I don't support that.
But Liberians have been calling for their investigation.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
The president said they're going to form a committee to look into the matter.
Yeah.
Up to now, the public is told nothing.
Yeah, so we wait for that. But the president has taken the first step. The first step was to have accepted that resignation. So the president did that in good faith.
I think.
Do you know what it means for the relationship between the president and McGill? And tell him, say, my man, you need to resign. Then we got to be honest with issue, man, Vanny. Then the man leaves. So politically, we can even say McGill is being targeted. I can say that safely.
By whom?
By whom? By the same international community that the ANC working with and trying to bring some change. We can say it.
So
we can safely say it.
McGill is being targeted by the US. That's your point.
By lobbyists. There are times lobbyists ill-informed or misinformed leading authorities. Don't you know that? There are lobbyists all around here. Go to America, they are there. They are paid to do these works. So if you get a lobbyist in your confines of authority, who you pay reasonably, who over to do the necessary connection and networking, they produce a story. You know there are how many times story can come against people to challenge them? So let there be real with these things. So the president took step by accepting these men resignation.
Okay.
And now we just don't need to condemn them until they can be investigated and proven as criminals over them. And that is why it is quite unfortunate when I saw my brothers, when I saw colleagues, when I saw genuine brothers booing at Serena Cephas on UL campus. They chased him out. That was wrong. That man has not been condemned under a competent system as a criminal. You don't do that. It was sad and trust me. It was very sad.
If the justice system
is
moving
perception.
If the justice system is moving at a snail pace, what do you expect people to do? When the political will from the highest office seems to be lagging, what do you expect the citizens to do?
So you mean, as a journalist, you are fostering mob justice. You are fostering mob action.
Listen to my point. So my point is
mob action, mob condemnation. That's why you are trying to foster.
No, you wouldn't put words in my mouth. My point is there will be citizen reaction whenever the legal system seems to be
your question you ask is rhetorical to action. That question is rhetorical to action.
Which we saw citizens action.
Exactly. So since
which is different from mob justice.
That what I spoke in context. I said mob justice, mob condemnation, and mob action.
Which is different from that. So my point is
that what took place. One of them took place against Serena Cephas.
Yeah, so
that was mob condemnation.
And I'm still saying this.
So you wait for him to be investigated. That was wrong, Vanny. We don't need to support these things.
Even the last time
they are not condemned criminals. They are not condemned criminals.
Yeah, it's just in line with what
not
we
because
saw.
they are sanctioned. I don't support criminality.
It's just in line with what we saw at the Capitol building with Randall McLean.
Yeah, you don't do that.
McLean felt that the Elections Commission was not doing anything. You getting me? The Elections Commission was not doing anything to make sure that people stop pre-campaigning, and then citizens' action was effected. It is the same we saw with the UL people, but without time in our interest.
So you see how insensitive he was. The McLean, I showed you the situation that took place recently, right?
Yeah, the Capitol building.
You see, people got to understand something. Their CDC program, the nomination of which I chair the Western region, was planned in consultation with NEC. CDC, not their jumper. The February 4th was proposed to NEC and accepted. And that's why you saw banners for the program being arranged. You didn't see people telling you to vote. People need to understand languages in political communication. It was very clear nomination. To the extent the president was being nominated. How do you understand nomination? The fact that we had a 6-year agreement. Jowiah wants to get re-elected. The Liberian people believe he has to be re-elected.
Okay.
So I'm laying on there to provide education.
Yeah, because we're already out of time.
So at this particular point, why would they responsibly as citizens and citizens of Liberia? Remember now, CDC won 14 of the 15 political subdivisions. So as citizens of Liberia and citizens, we decided to nominate him on the party ticket. So that was a nomination program. And that nomination program was done in consultation with NEC to have given all that date. Then you get one person who is very insensitive, not understanding the condition of the day, of the situation of the day, took to Capitol building, and worst of all, the greatest disaster, the greatest embarrassment, national and international, to the legislature, Honorable Yeke Koluba, with others had to take those things to put us on in. It was wrong.
Minister,
so you got to understand the context.
Minister Milaya Zeh Sharif, thank you so much, and let me appreciate Mama Sikabat, having been on earlier on the program. Sorry for the poor quality of my voice, and thank you that the minister could come this afternoon. One of your colleagues at Internal Affairs said, only bring folks who are critical of the government, and I told him I've been reaching out to folks in government, but they seem not to be coming forward. But thank you. Thanks to our viewers as well. Cheerio, thank you for being there in the background. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Hey, see bestie, your bestie not sweet like my bestie. Your bestie la bestie, fire friend like me.
I say, see bestie won't tend to happy. Fire friend like me. I say they want me go. I say
Some of them say they want me go.
I say